Blades fans, subscribe to Blades Ramble. Up the Blades.
What is happening, Blades? And welcome back to the Blades Ramble. I am, of course, Jimmy, and we are proudly sponsored by Action Coach Sheffield. If you're a growing business and want support to continue that growth, they are the people to speak to. We are back with 90 after 90, and wow. I say wow because we're building something here. We're building something, and it's really exciting to see. Look, it's a 1-0 against the Derby County side that, look, if you're going to go up automatically, you need to be winning these games against newly promoted teams. You're at home. You're expected to dominate the ball. We did absolutely everything that we needed to do today. I think at times we were a little bit naive in possession. I think at the top of the pitch, there's still, I've seen people saying, I agree, there's still some clicking that needs to do with the in the final third. And I don't think that's down to any individuals, really. It was just me and my dad at the game today in terms of who travelled to the game together. We obviously met up with Ramblers beforehand, but my dad was saying, like, there doesn't really seem to be a set plan. Obviously, Wilder will have coached them and wants them to play in certain phases, but like when we had three at the back and we had overlapping centre halves, we knew that there was a way that we were going to implement our plan on the opposition. And at the moment, it just looks like we've got a team together that man for man is probably better than most teams we're going to go up against. And we rely on that and then being good, clever players, which they are, to do the job. I mean, I could go through it man for man. I don't necessarily mean I'm going to, but you start with Mike Cooper and wow, just what an absolute night and day it is to have a keeper that I haven't been as confident since Dean Henderson in a goalkeeper. And this is nothing, it's not a dig at Wes or anybody that's come before Aaron Ramsdale. And to be honest, it's a long time, I think, from Dean Henderson, it was Paddy Kenny before I was that confident in a goalkeeper being assured. And so since Paddy, we've not had our own permanent goalkeeper that gives you real confidence. And I don't just mean confidence like the back lads are confident in him, because they clearly are. They'll pass back to him and they're comfortable giving him the ball and him being under a little bit of pressure. But he just comes and commands his area, just completely sort of dominates the space, lets you know that there's a bit of an aura about him. He's a Premier League goalkeeper, and I can't speak highly enough about him. It's certainly not an I told you so, because I might have been early with my calls for him, but he's been known about for some time now. And to get him for the price we did, and he's our keeper, it's absolutely unreal business from the club and the manager. Absolutely outrageous. Harry Souttar was my man of the match today. I thought he were outstanding, absolutely outstanding. Not just because he were getting forward and sort of putting himself in the spotlight in that way, but he dealt with absolutely everything that came his way today. I thought he were superb. I thought Anel played really well as well. A couple of sloppy passes in first half. But other than that, I thought he played really well. I think Harrison Burrows is getting better every game. Alfie Gilchrist, again, getting better. The only concern I've got about, and I will pull up a couple of bits that I'm not concerned with. I'm splitting hairs, really. Alfie Gilchrist coming off again on 66-ish minutes. He wasn't playing poorly at all. In fact, he just cut inside onto his left in the box and had a rasping shot that their keeper, who had a very good game, I thought. Their keeper pushed over the bar. Don't get me wrong, Sariki came on and played really well. So this is not oh my God, why did you make that sub? It's more a case of, why did we have to bring Alfie off that early? You've got to imagine, or I can only assume, and that's maybe jumping the gun a little bit, that it's a fitness thing. And maybe his readings, because they all wear these monitors now, don't they, under their under the stuff. So maybe his readings weren't quite right. But is there a concern there that he's not quite fully up to fitness? Maybe so, maybe. But as I say, I thought Sariki did really well when he came on. Thought Sidney Peck stepping in for Ollie Arblaster. I won't say it was seamless because I think Ollie Arblaster is a class above most players in this league, if I'm honest. And that's a big statement for somebody who's played less than a full season at this level. But I think Ollie Arblaster's a special talent. But Sidney Peck looked every bit a championship player today. And I mean that in a positive respect. I don't think he looked out of place at all. I love his attitude to the game, where he's a bit of an S-house. This is a PG, kid-friendly show, so we'll just say he's a bit of a troublemaker. But I don't mind that. A little bit of aggression in his game. We need somebody with a bit of bite. Because as much as Vinny Souza brings the size, Captain Souza today, he doesn't always, he's not the, I don't see him as the toughest man on the field. I thought he played okay again today, Souza. Whether he's captain material or not, I don't know whether that's Wilder trying a little bit too hard, but like, we've got the result. It's a win and a clean sheet with him as captain. Gus Hamer, what can you say about Gus Hamer? I think you forgive his one or two dodgy touches, which he does have, believe it or not. You forgive those for the magic that he can give you. And he's the match winner today. And that might take the headlines for some people. And that might mean he's a lot of people's man of the match. And I'm certainly not going to argue that, because what a player he is. I think he's up there with being our best player now. And I don't like to sort of single players out. I love Ollie Arblaster and I love Michael Cooper. But I think if you're talking about technical ability, pure technical ability, you don't get better than Gus Hamer. Somebody who's close is Callum O'Hare. I think he dips in and out of games, but I thought he played well today. He was a menace. It looked to me like they put Ozzy as a man marker on him to follow him around a bit today, but he dealt with that quite well. And that's not a dig at Ozzy, even though it might sound like it is. But Ozzy's, we know he's a nuisance, and he's decent for a man marking job. But I thought Callum O'Hare had his number today. There were one point where a ball came across and it were going out of play, and Callum O'Hare caught it in the air and flicked it like an half volley over his head down the line, but sold the man. So the man went and he got round the man, and it was just, I didn't describe that very well, but he did. It was so good, so good. Rak-Sakyi. Now we need to have a conversation about Jez Rak-Sakyi, because I want justice for Andre Brooks. And it's easy. I've just caught the back end of Nick's match reaction, and I purposely try not to watch them before I come on, because I don't want Nick's or anybody else's opinion to sway my view of the game. So I'll always go back and watch Nick's afterwards, plus I'll have my tea. So, and I had to watch Goosebumps for some reason rather than any football or anything, because kids have got control of the TV. So I'm watching Goosebumps, but as I've finished watching that and I've come to set up, I'm watching the last few bits of Nick's, and he's saying he can see why he looked. First of all, he looked 3 sheets that win. So fair play to the lad for having for doing a match reaction in first place. He normally gets hell to do it when he's had a few too many, but it's always great entertainment when Nick's on camera and he's oiled. So that's I'll be going back and watching that with a smile. But he was saying, like, he can see why Wilder's persisting with Rak-Sakyi, and the fact that he might have minutes in his contract or so many starts. Not good enough for me. Not good enough. I think you've got to, and this isn't a dig at Wilder. It's more a pop at, I suppose, Rak-Sakyi not taking the bull by the horns a little bit. I don't really know what Andre Brooks has done wrong to come out of the side. I'm not saying he has necessarily. I'm sure Wilder would argue this point, but I thought he was so much more effective when he came on Andre Brooks. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he got his starting shirt back against Portsmouth. Rak-Sakyi, I just think, looks a little bit disinterested until the ball's in his locality. I'm talking to one of my dad's mates at half time. He thinks he looks unfit. I think he looks disinterested. I think out of possession, he's not really a team player, and that's only on a small sample size. but it's just something I want to put out there as an early concern that I've got. So I'm certainly not writing him off because he's one of them players when balls at his feet, he looks electric at times. Although a lot of his stuff came to nothing today. He'd beat a man and then he'd fire it off and it'd ricochet off one of their players regularly. But these things happen and it's not necessarily his fault. The one thing I want to talk about as well tonight is our big number 9, Kieffer Moore. I've still seen, again, I try not to get any sway from like Nick's match reactions or read too much online before I come on. But I can't, obviously we've got a Ramblers chat and that goes mad before, during, after the game. And I'm not going to call anybody out, but I saw some right stick for Kieffer Moore. And the beautiful thing about the Ramble in general is nobody's wrong because it's all opinion based. So what I'm about to say is my opinion, but I do not understand people. I do understand it, but I don't understand how you can't see the value in Kieffer Moore. And I know as a number 9, the cut and thrust of it as a number 9, you expect them to be the focal point of your attack, and they are the one that you get the ball to so they can score the goals. He's not quite doing the business in terms of converting goals and chances into goals. I understand that. And that is a slight frustration. I still think they'll come. Everything else, absolutely everything else you'd want a number 9 to do, he does so well. And he creates chances for others. There's been a couple, obviously, the obvious one is the build-up to the second Hull goal the other day. But there were a couple of occasions today where he chased his man. Bernie's never chasing his man back, by the way. I've never seen him chase a man back in 5 years of playing for Sheffield United. Moore is sprinting back and forth as a lone striker up front on his own. Hard job against 2 centre halves. He's sprinting to chase that ball down. And at 9 times out of 10, that's over-egging it. But 50% of the time, he's getting some joy for it because centre half will like have a stray pass out wide or it'll get intercepted by somebody else on second wave. I just thought it were a really, really strong performance from Kieffer Moore today. And me and my dad were like in pub beforehand. I think Dave Leary said Kieffer Moore gets 2 today. So I know Dave's we were on about being on the Kieffer Moore train. So on way into the ground, me and my dad are just singing. I tried to get him on to join me, but he's not going to join me tonight because he didn't want to sing live on Ramble. So we're walking into the ground going, join the Moore train, people all over the world. And then he'll deny this, but it's true. He's from Shoreham to John Street too. He's singing. Well, you know, we just get a bit daft. I was 3 pints in. He were 1 pint in, so I don't know what his excuse was. But no, I thought it was a superb performance from United today. I think it's always a little bit nervy, 1-0. And I'd like us to turn some of this attacking pressure into more clear-cut chances and obviously goals. But I think I saw a stat earlier that said Derby had 3 shots on target or 3 shots on goal and none after the 28th minute today. So it cannot be lost on us how well our defence is doing, even if the attack hasn't gelled completely at the moment. So love that. And I love that the back line is starting to come together now, that back 5, because I'm including Michael Cooper in it, but Anel and Suter, I'm sorry, and I know I got some stick for I didn't dig out Jack Robinson, but I was confident and still am, and I think it's been sort of justified a little bit that he is probably a distant third in terms of ranking our centre backs. So Harry Suter and Anel are the pair. There's no way Jack Robinson gets straight back in when he's fit. He can't, and that's good because he was our player at season last year. So that tells you how. And this sounds awful, but it shows how poor we were last year that Jack Robinson won our player at year. And this year, he's not going to get a starting place when we're at full strength. I think Alfie Gilchrist and Harrison Burrows are really coming on. And yeah, I'm really pleased with how we're looking. So this is 90 after 90. So this is, we usually go up to 90 minutes. It doesn't have to be 90 minutes, but we go up to 90 minutes after a game. And if you're a £6 tier or a £12 tier, Rambler and above, £6 tier and above, if you like, then you've the opportunity to call in and we'll have a chat about the game if you want to do that. And some people want to know how to do that. That's also been a question. And because this is our most viewed stream, this series, if you like, then I'm going to let you all know how you can do that as well. Join the Ramble. The easiest way of supporting us is to subscribe to the channel. One click on YouTube. That lets YouTube know that you're interested in our content. If you like the video, that tells YouTube to push it out to more like-minded people. So that really helps us as well. You'll never miss a Ramble if you press the notification bell because it'll come up on your screen. The next thing you can do to support us is to go onto YouTube and join the channel membership. There's a £3 tier to become a Ramble supporter. For that, you get access to our WhatsApp group. There's also a £6 tier, which is also on Patreon. And for that, you become a Rambler. And what does a Rambler mean? You get access to our exclusive content, including 3 Mardy Blades, Hot Topic, and our latest exclusive series, The Royal Ramble. You'll have to join to find out what that's all about. If you want to be the ultimate Ramble supporter, you'll become a Platinum Rambler. And for that, you get everything included in the previous tiers. But you also get a chance to have direct involvement in some of our series, such as Hot Topic and The Royal Ramble. But I thank everybody for the support. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Come on, you red and white wizards. Up the blades. The blades indeed, Jimmy. Well said. Back to Jimmy in real life. So I'm going to start and getting some comments now before I go to our first caller, because I can see you waiting backstage, pal. Jack starts us off with another good result and a clean sheet. Our defence seems to be solid at the minute. Good goal from Hamer. Good performance. And this was without Blaster. Still need to be closing off games and being ruthless. Absolutely. Blaster, well, I might get asked, but I think it's going to be around 2 to 3 weeks, I'm led to believe, which probably rules him out for the next 3 maybe, because it's Pompey away, isn't it, next week? Then the week after it's Swansea and Luton at home. Then there's a break, another international break, which is ridiculous, before Leeds. So we just need him back for that Leeds game. Luton will be a big game, but I think Peck's shown that he can more than step into the fold and cover. Gus again, what a free kick, says David. I'm climbing on the Man Mountain promotion ride. Up the blades, up the Ramble, like and subscribe. Thank you, pal. Hope you're well. Ollie says, have to say I love Peck's passion. However, he has to go out on loan because he isn't good enough. Rak-Sakyi's quite poor considering all the hype about him. Can't cross or take on his man, Start Brooks. I'm with you on Start Brooks. I think that's harsh on both Rak-Sakyi and Peck, to be honest, because I think Peck didn't really do much wrong today. I liked his performance. I think Rak-Sakyi, again, we've got high standards for Rak-Sakyi because of the way he came in, and he was sought after by so many clubs, and he'd lit up League One, went on loan with Charlton, and lots of big things are expected from him. But that's not his fault, is it? I just think it's the only thing I'm sort of pulling him on is I think Brooks has outperformed him. So I don't want him to just have a shirt because he's a loan signing. I want him to earn his way into the side. And if Brooks goes off the boil a little bit, that's when the door opens for him. Like the door opened for him when Brooks got his concussion. And I don't think he did enough to take the shirt and keep it. But we'll see. We'll see. If Brooks, one thing I will say is if Brooks comes on, keeps coming on and doing what he did today and looking so lively and winning free kicks out up the pitch, taking on his man and doing so well, he'll have no choice. Wilder will be starting Andre Brooks. Renegade says, if you told me at the beginning of the season we'd have been one of the 3 unbeaten teams after 6 games, I'd have been pessimistic. Good to see that winning feeling back at the lane. Brooks better than Rak-Sakyi. Yeah, I'm with you there, pal. I'm with you there. 3 clean sheets in a row, says Jack. That's really good to see. Look at how we were all worried about the -2. Now look at us. We're in 4th place right now. We'd be in 3rd as well, I think, if we didn't have that -2. See a lot of people saying Rak-Sakyi hasn't been good. How bad was it? It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I think we're picking holes, really. And, you know, we're entitled to do that, aren't we? We critique the performances and we want to get better. But I don't think he's played poorly or anything like that. Mr. V, good evening, pal. I would like to see Brooks start the next game along with either Brewster or Campbell up front. Surely he's fit enough by now. Moore has played a lot of football this month, time for a rest and a refresh. I disagree. I think the fact that we've got another international break coming up, I think it's perfect to keep things going as they are. What I don't understand, and my dad were talking to me about this as well, why isn't Brewster, if he's lacking match sharpness, that's what we think it is, because you can't train match minutes, why isn't he playing for 21s like Campbell has done and learning bag 2-3 and getting his match fitness up, and match sharpness up, because that would be something to look at potentially. Evening, Jimmy. Unable to watch tonight. Sorry, says Jamie. Got to say, first half we weren't amazing, but second was incredible. The goal, the atmosphere, everything. My mate said Gus's free kick, he ain't scoring from there. I said, because there were Gus and Harrison Burrows stood over the ball, and I thought it was because Gus took an outswinger, didn't he, and scored top bins. And I said to my dad, Harrison Burrows, top corner here. And he was obviously we scored, and he was like, you were half right. You were half right. Got to say, Derby, we were very quiet once we were winning and seemed to either time waste or kick legs. Oh, well, mind the gap, pigs. I thought they were time wasting from something like the 20th minute when it was 0-0. And then it was just funny to see their keeper running for every ball to put it down and get ball back in play. It was just, yeah, really funny. Really funny. What else we got? Ian says, good evening, Jimmy. It's comfortable a 1-0, as you will see. Agree, Mr. V. Brooks and Brewster in for Rak-Sakyi and more next game. Freshen it up a bit. Up the blades, up the ramble, like and subscribe. I can see that if you're thinking that more's not quite clicking. I just think it is such a distant... It is such a... there's a distance, there's a gap between our starting number 9 and anybody else, unfortunately. And I don't think it's worth risking a drop-off by playing Campbell alone as a striker or Brewster alone as a striker against Portsmouth, away at Portsmouth, which is going to be tough. I know they're doing poorly in league, but it's travel time. It's just an awkward fixture, isn't it, away at Portsmouth. So we'll see. We're getting better and better each week, says Jack. Changing more wouldn't change anything. Brewster won't be able to be a solo striker, in my opinion. The lack of goals when we're on top, but dropping more isn't the one. Andy Giddings has given an update on the takeover. Says, Sam, do you think if Hamer keeps this form up, we keep him in January? Yes, I think we do keep Gus Hamer. We should never sell Hamer in January, says Jack, if we are serious about going up. You could... if you look at performances and consistency, then you could always make an argument that Arblaster's our best player, or Anel might be our best, or different players at different times. But if you look purely on outputs, Gus has got 4 goals, and I think he's probably got a couple of assists in there as well in 6 games. He is, in terms of output, he is head and shoulders our most important player at the moment. So, yeah, we're not in a position where we have to sell him. I'd be amazed. I'd be absolutely amazed if we sold Gus Hamer in January. Look, there's no point even worrying about any of that for at least a couple of months, because with that sort of time to solidify our position in the division, like if we were 10th and it didn't look like it were going to be our season come January, then we might think about it and reinvest in 2 or 3 more players and maybe go again or have a late push. But Gus Hamer is a superb player for us, and I think him and a couple of others are going to be the difference for us, hopefully. Daz, good evening, pal. Got to be pleased with how it's going. Good team. How it's going. Good teams win no matter how it's going. We can't expect 3 and 4-0 every week. Up the blades, up the ramble. Thank you, pal. Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people beforehand were saying, and I think Wilder said this in his post-match as well, it's going to be 3-4-0 to Blades, 5-0. They're saying it in pub before game, and I'm saying, I don't know. I think we'll win. And this weren't like a mystic mega or anything, but you can't ever, not disrespect, but underestimate teams in this division. So I'd have taken a 1-0 all day long, and I'm so glad we've got it. And Daz is right. The better teams win when you're not playing at your absolute maximum, and I still don't think we've reached ours. Evening, Jim. Good evening, Chris. Great result and standout players, Suter and Big Vinny. Fabulous goal from Gus. All the subs did well when called upon. A very happy Blade going home. What did the unclean do? Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Please like and subscribe. Thank you, mate. Yes, what happened at Luton today? Has anybody got an update on what happened down at Kenilworth Road? I think Luton were losing last I saw. So if anybody's got an update on that, let me know. Brilliant atmosphere, like always, and nice to see Coots again. Yeah, well, great to see Paul Coots got a good reception. Great to see Ozzy get a good reception after the game. He went round and clapped all four sides of the ground, so that was great to see as well. Evening Jim says, Scott, great result against a well-organised side. I knew they'd sit back and make it tough, but we found a way with an absolute banger. Peck did a great job today, and I thought Brooks, what did you think, Brooks? Looked good again, and Sariki was brilliant. Brooks to start next game for me. Suter was immense. I thought so too. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Wayne, good evening, pal. I saw you today. I don't think you saw me. You were talking to my dad, I think, at one point. Proper old school Blades, second half that. Yeah, I thought same, pal. Moore is so poor, says Beast Boy. Brewster is way better than him. Moore kills every attack. Oh, no. Oh, no. What, you're entitled to your opinion, pal? I just do not agree with it. 3 subs were unbelievable. Sariki is a serious player. Can't wait for Brewster to get his first goal because he was asking for that ball a lot. What has Brooks got to do to get a start, says Thomas. He did more in 20 minutes than Saki's done in an hour. Great win for the Blades, says Kelly. Absolutely right. Got a feel for Brooks. He's done everything right and hasn't started. Mark says Harry Suter, man of the match. It's not even close. I agree, pal. Won everything. Special mention to Burrows. I thought he played good throughout today. I agree. Also sick of people slagging more off. Mate, it's a platform for all opinions, isn't it? And I'm with you. I don't necessarily get it. I think he's a real grafter. I think he does a lot of the unseen stuff really well. Just, yeah, I think he brings an awful lot to the side. It's not just, look, as a striker, it's really important that you contribute with goals, and he's not quite doing that. Although he has got one, but he's not doing enough in that regard. Everything else you could ask of him, I think he's doing really well. Peck had an excellent game for a young lad once he started getting into it. It says Key, absolutely right. Good evening, Jimmy Ramble, says Tommy. Good evening, pal. I'm wondering how long it'll take for Campbell to get up to scratch. I think if he gets the nod at some point, it could be a bit of a better lone striker than Big Kieffer. He'll have to go somewhere for me. He'll have to go somewhere. So I'm going to bring my first guest in at this stage. And this is my boy, Liam. How's it going, pal?
I'm good, pal. Are you?
Yes, I'm very well, mate. I'm very well. Did you go to the game today?
I did, mate. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought first half we were a bit slow to get going. I thought first 10, 15 minutes we never really got going at all.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
I think Wilder's raised his voice at half time and got into him a bit because they pressed higher, pressed quicker. And yeah, I'm on now, mate. You want to say hello to Jimmy?
Hi.
Nailed, mate. You all right?
Yeah.
Were you at game with your dad today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Good.
Good.
Come sit here. Sit next to me. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I thought so too, mate. I thought so too. What did you... Go on.
Go on, pal. Sorry, go on.
No, after you, mate.
I was just going to say I totally agree with you with the JRS and Brooks situation. Brooks has got to come back in for me. He should have never got dropped to Hull, but I can understand why he did it, but he's got to come back in 100%. I
agree. What's your thoughts on Kieffer Moore?
Yeah, I was just going to say he does everything but score.
I know.
That's the thing. That's what you've got to look at. Every other aspect of his game is press it, and like you say, it's a really hard job up there on your own as a lone striker. It's a very hard job, very hard. And to me again, he did it well. I think there were two chances. Sorry, I think it was first half he got through, and the one he put across box and it went straight out for a throw in. And then second one he put across, I think, and somebody just missed it. So and then there was that third one where he like backheeled it behind him, and there were nobody running behind him. So I think they're just still getting used to playing with him as well. So you've got to take that into consideration that Cal's getting used to playing with him, Gus is, JRS is getting used to playing with team, but like you say, Burrows and Gilchrist quality again, especially Burrows, absolutely phenomenal, brilliant.
I thought so. What did you think when you saw Vinny rock up with captain's armband on?
I don't know, to be honest. I thought Suter would have got it today, to be honest. I said that to you, didn't I, Keys, before match? I thought Suter would have got the captain armband, but like you said, I can see why Wilder's done it, but like you said, I don't think he's captain material, to be fair. That's just my opinion. He's one of the
Yeah.
leaders, like you said, because there's a lot of young boys in, and he were here last season. A lot of the experienced lads have gone, but I still believe that Suter should have got it today. But like, I agree with you as well on that, Jim, that he will man at match 100%. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Suter were an absolute rock at the back today, to be fair.
Brilliant.
I mean, I get why Wilder is giving him armband, like we've said, really. I think it's more, riding that wave of momentum that he's been on with fans and sort of turning everybody around. I'm still not sure he's captain material, but I hope he proves me wrong. I hope he does, because players have done it in past. Jack Robinson did it. He sort of won me round a little bit last season, even though
But I agree with you. Them two's got to stay in for me, and Ellen Suits 100%. He can't get back in, Jack. No chance.
He can't, and that's no slight on him. That's more a pat on back to two lads
Just
that have
how
got
good,
the shirt at the minute.
How good them two are together, yeah. 100%.
Any thoughts on Michael Cooper? While I've got
I
you,
was just gonna say, I was scared when he went down. I was just gonna say to you what
Me
we
and
thought
all.
when he went down. I said to Keegan, "Don't, please." Oh, he's effortless. How he comes and claims ball, commands his area, speaks to players. Well, he's obviously his back line in front of him. Oh, he's phenomenal.
He's class, isn't he?
I'm so glad you put it to the club, Jim. I'm so glad, mate. He's unreal. And I think I just want to touch on this last night, watching Stoke game, Johansson dropping that clanger. It just shows why we hold it out for Mike Cooper instead of going for him at 900k.
I know there's usually a bit of method to madness. There hasn't always been at United, but there usually is a little bit of method these days to madness. So, yeah, delighted with that bit of business. Delighted with it, mate. I just
want to say how good was Femi Sariki when he come on.
Yeah, really good.
Absolutely unbelievable. Running at his man, overlapping Brooks, brilliant, phenomenal. Brilliant. It's very good to see 19-year-old, 20-year-old lads. Well, obviously, Brooks is a blade and Blast is a blade, but even like players coming through like him and Sadie Peck. Were it Arsenal's Academy, Sadie Peck, were it?
Yeah,
Academy, didn't he? Yeah, he's a good player. He was,
he's part of our strategy, really, which goes unnoticed a little bit, but we've not been in a position, because we're self-sustaining as a football club, we've not been in a position to go and pluck youngsters fresh out of academies, but we try and get the level before, if you know what I mean. So like when they're 16-ish, before they start to flirt with their own first team.
So like Billy Blacker's age, people like that.
Yeah, that sort of age group. So we plucked City Peck out of us. I think we paid about 150 grand for him. For like a 16-year-old. It's a lot of money, but it's paid off now, isn't it? Do you know, we've done the same with Ryan O'Neill now, and these sort of bits of business are really smart, I think. So
and it's definitely gonna improve us in years to come, mate. 100%.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. It gives you that foundation to go ready for Cat 1 as well. So love it. Anything else you want to cover, pal, before we...
I just want to say Brooks has got to come back in next Saturday for me. I just wanted to ask you, like people worrying about selling Gus, I just wanted to ask you, if the takeover does go through, then there's no need to sell Gus at all, is there?
I don't think there's any need to sell Gus if takeover don't go through.
I know we're debt free now, I think, anyway, by what I've been told, but I don't want to lose him. Especially if
it makes no sense, and I think particularly if it's new ownership, which it may or may not be, I don't know. I'm hoping to get an update soon, but if it's new ownership, then there's no like sticking a knife in your relationship with new fan base and selling your best player who's leading charge to getting you promoted, hopefully. So you can't do it.
His best player along with Blaster, like you said, Jim, 100% his best player.
I think so.
Yeah. Is it definitely 2-3 weeks? I've just seen someone's put in Platinum chat that it could be 6 to 8 weeks.
I was told it was 2 to 3, but
I hope it is. Because I've just listened to Wilder's interview and he said that he doesn't know until it's all settled down and everything. So I'm guessing it's swelled and stuff like that. So they don't know a time scale until it's all settled down.
Okay, mate. Okay, well, fingers crossed it's as soon as possible. As I said, City Peck's an ideal deputy, innit, at the moment, and I think you don't want him to have to throw him into fire for top level games. I mean, I'd like Blaster back for Luton, but I think particularly going to Leeds, we need
100%
Blaster in that midfield for me.
100%. So I thought today, sorry mate, just before going into the ground, I thought he might have moved Gus back and brung Brooks in.
Yeah, a few people suggested that to me as well, that, when it were a surprise that Peck were named. A couple of things on that. I hear that Wilder is a massive fan of City Peck. Not that he's not a fan of Brooks, because he is, but he's a massive fan of City Peck because of what he brings, his attitude, his aggression, his willingness to fight for shirt, which it's all things that we love as Blades.
Yeah, of course.
I think Brooks gives you a good option off the bench then. If Rak-Sakyi, obviously Rak-Sakyi is the obvious change to make, but you can move Gus inside or you can do anything like that during the game and still have an impact on it. Starting Peck gives you two more defensive-minded midfielders with him and Vinny at middle, rather than Gus, who's a more forward-thinking. Do you know what I mean? That's the impression I got from it. That it takes a bit of pressure off Vinny, having somebody like Peck alongside him as opposed to having Gus alongside him, where he might have got overrun a little bit. So, and it seemed to work, didn't it? It's done the trick. So, I'm happy with that, mate. So, anything else you want to cover before I let you go, pal?
Just wanted to say, Brooks has definitely got to come back in next game. And Rak-Sakyi, I thought last two games has been very quiet. I thought Brooks today, when he come on with it for 20, 25 minutes, I thought he's done. I'm not been biased to Rak-Sakyi at all, but I just thought them last 20 minutes, he did more in them last 20 minutes than he did in the last two matches.
I agree. I just think he drifts in and out for me, Rak-Sakyi. And when we're out of possession, which
I feel safer with Brooks, 100%.
Yeah.
Defensively, offensively, 100%. I feel safer with Brooks.
Yeah, I think you can. There's an argument to be had that Rak-Sakyi is probably better with the ball from the brief, and even then, I think Brooks has come on massively. But I think Rak-Sakyi is a bit more cultured, a bit more natural with the ball. But out of possession, it's night and day. You want Andre Brooks there instead of Rak-Sakyi for me, because Rak-Sakyi don't do any tracking. He don't show for it when he's not got the ball or anything. It's just,
and like you says, if it's not in his zone, at pitch, he don't look interested.
That's right. I think same. And it's likely just his demeanour, but I need to see a bit more out of him personally, and that's just a personal opinion, mate. So we'll see. Yep. But thanks for calling, Liam. Really appreciate it.
I'll let you get off, mate. Take care, pal. Thank you, and I hope.
All right, buddy. Cheers, mate. See you soon. Thanks for calling, bud. Nice one, Liam. Thank you for joining us, mate. Jack says, my worry is still the same. We seem to be struggling in the final third and are quite wasteful. If it comes to the fine line of things, we need to be more clinical. Not every game will be dominant. I'm guessing Alfie isn't as fit as we need him to be. He's always working hard for us in that position. I'm also thinking Brooks played better than Arblaster, but he's not been played. I think Arblaster had probably one of his lesser performances the last time out against Hull, but it's not enough to be dropped for me. I think he's a starter, a regular starter when he's fit. The Ronaldian, I hope I've read that right. Great win, Blades. Rak-Sakyi needs to do more and still not sold on O'Hare yet. Back four, very good again, and Gus bringing the magic. I've seen a few people say that about Callum O'Hare. It's another thing, into it. A little bit like his reputation goes before him. And I suppose without trying to or without meaning to, we'll all judge him based on, what a brilliant free signing he is. Expecting him to come in and hit the ground running. You can see from the way he plays what he gives to us in terms of the ability that he's got. You see some of his technical ability, like we talked about earlier, but he's not quite put it all together yet, has it? Plus, he's the closest thing to Illiman and Dye that we've seen since Illiman left. And I say that with a caveat, obviously. I don't think many people do ever expect him to get to Illiman levels. So it's a little bit like we've seen players like this come through and do well. And, what have you done for me lately a little bit? And I think I don't know. I think he flatters to deceive sometimes. I don't think he's actually as quick as he looks because he's got little legs. And while they move quickly, he doesn't like Ben Osborne outran him a couple of times today. But again, that's nitpicking. I think Callum O'Hare is a brilliant signing for us and will do really well. Really well for us. Sidney Peck today, first tackle, bang, have that, said Mark. Saw it, loved it. Saw the ball sort of spin out and then saw Sidney have his eye on it. And I thought, well, it's coming together here. Let's just hope he gets there first. And thankfully he did just. The same. Good evening, pal. Massive win. We're starting to cook now, boys. Brilliant. Still unbeaten in the league. Absolutely right. I wonder if there's a financial reason we're bringing Gilchrist off around the same time in games. Either way, the replacements are pretty impressive too. I don't think it'll be financial. I'd be amazed if it were financial, to be honest, because it'll be negligible. That. What would Chelsea be saying? You need to take him off before 70 minutes. It doesn't make sense that unless he's nursing some sort of injury or fitness concern. I think it's got to be medical, to be honest, personally. But, you could be right. For me, Sidney Peck is a Nick Montgomery who can also play some nice footy. Yeah, I like that. I like that. O'Hare is like Duffy, plays well but can only play to a certain minute. Duffy 60, O'Hare 70. Yeah, it's rare that he finishes a game, isn't it? And I thought, and it's been quite refreshing that we haven't really, because Brewster's tended to come on for O'Hare. And it's a little bit like, it's not like for like, is it? Because Brewster's not a 10, Brewster's a striker. I thought if you're bringing Brewster on, you'd put 2 up top and you'd go with Kieffer and Brewster. And I thought if you're bringing O'Hare off in the 10, then maybe slot Gus into the 10, which we've done before, and bring a left winger on. That didn't happen. You didn't move Brooks out to the left and somebody else out onto the right. I'd have thought if you're bringing a 10 off and you're trying to hold on to a lead, then you bring on a centre midfielder. And I don't get why we're not doing that a little bit more often. And I'm not saying we should, because it's quite negative, I suppose, in that respect. But what I thought we did really well today, which I probably haven't touched on enough, is I thought it were really professional in terms of game management. And we haven't seen that for a long time. And we tried to do it against QPR and it didn't quite click. And Wilder, who I think has spoken so much sense since, you all know my thoughts on Chris Wilder. I think he is the reason that we have completely he's started a rebuild of our football club, and it's like Blades 2.0. It's absolutely unreal. Some heroes have left, and we've automatically got new lads that we're looking at as future heroes of ours. It's unlikely that they'll ever get to the levels of John Egan, Mark Duffy, George Baldock, and all these sort of players. But if they're with us for the next 3, 4, 5 years, then it could happen. It could happen. So just absolutely brilliant what Chris Wilder's done for us. And as part of that, he's evolved and we've learned from the QPR game, which was a disappointment earlier on in the season. We can see out games, we get corners and we're sort of playing it around the corner. We're not ashamed to be 1-0 up against Derby and just looking after the ball. It's really smart and really good to see. Really good to see. Rak-Sakyi at the bar today is doing okay. Did he hit the bar? I'm not sure he did. I might have missed that bit, mate. But he's more attacking minded, says Key. Yeah, possibly is. I'm not saying he's doing badly, to be fair. I am splitting hairs when I'm sort of picking stuff out about him. I certainly don't want it to be anything negative after another brilliant win for United today. But I have to be honest with me, assessment of it, and just, I mean, players of that ability, he could turn up against Portsmouth and get 2 goals and create a third, and then I look daft. But that's what a player of that ability can do. And I hope to God he does, because there'll be nobody happier. But at the minute, I don't see how he justifies starting over Brooks. Personally, look, we're not weak on the right, are we? If Rak-Sakyi starts, we're certainly not weak. But I just think it's harsh on Brooks. Justice for Brooks is all I'm saying. I think Rak-Sakyi's just built that way. He's chilled as F. Just his personality, in my opinion. He's not being sold by Palace, so there's a baller in there. Yeah, I agree. It's his demeanour, isn't it? It's the way he carries himself. He's very sort of, yeah, man. Not that I can carry that off, but you know what I mean, don't you? He's very sort of laid back, very chill. But I don't always want it. If he were like, I'll give you a prime example of this, and this is sort of a different context, but my dad, who you all know well, and I love him dearly, he watched the Callum O'Hare Instagram video where he's walking around and he's, all right, bruv. Then I go down and I get a fresh cocktail, and then I got it, and then I did this, and then I did that. And honestly, it one of those things where my dad watched it, and I deliberately asked him what he thought, because I knew watching it. I thought, and I'm 40 myself now, so I know I'm an old man. I have to sort of remember that I'm not a 26-year-old like Callum O'Hare. He's a lot younger than me now, and I am old, and I don't know what is the trendy things to do online. But so I knew what my dad would be thinking, and he said exactly what I thought he would say all along. To be honest, he said, "Look, you would not catch him doing anything of the sort." Being my dad, in terms of football is very different nowadays, but As long as he turns up and does the business on a Saturday, he can do anything he likes. And that, whether you're old school, new school, don't care what school, that is what it's all about. If you come up and if you turn up and do the business for Sheffield United, we're not bothered. We'll forgive you anything. Rak-Sakyi, on that, just threading it back, is yet, in my opinion, is yet to do the business properly for Sheffield United, to be as blasé as he is. But he's everything in his locker to be able to turn up and just blow that out of the water one game and get man at match and run off with it and make me look daft for saying stuff like this online. Moore's a right player, says Rob. On my wavelength there, I think so too. People just look for the bad in Moore because he's not scoring, says Ollie. Once their head has turned, they will look for the bad. I love Moore because he's hardworking. I think, excuse me, the one thing I don't want to, I want to harness and encourage all different opinions. But what I'm not after is, well, you said he's rubbish, and I said he's ace, and blah, 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 and haha, you were wrong, blah, blah, blah. And I know Ollie's not saying that at all, but it's not a case. I want more to prove people wrong, so then 100% of Blades are massively behind him. But while he's not scoring, as a number 9, he's going to get some stick, and that comes with territory, and he's got to be ready for that. Kieffer doesn't stop running for a 32-year-old. He's a workhorse, says Key. I agree. Let's see how they are after 15 games regards to Moore, Rak-Sakyi and Gilchrist, says Renegade. That's fair. We're only 6 league games in, so that is fair. I called Moore getting 2-0. Fair dues, Jack. Moore will be on 15 goals by the end of the year. End of the season, not end of the year. He clarifies there, yeah. Maybe. I hope you're right. If he gets 10 and we finish second, does anybody care? I don't. If he gets 5 and we finish first, I'm not bothered. Because it's a team game, isn't it? Ollie McBurney were never a massive goal scorer, and he was a huge cult hero to many. I did see Ollie Mack chase someone once, but the guy was stood on the street, and I didn't insulted the big man. Nice one, Dave. Yeah, I remember that. He grabbed his phone, didn't he? I think, and stomped on it. Look, McBurney is a cult hero at United and will continue to be. Derby didn't do anything, said Dynamics. That's another thing as well. Derby had won 3 games out of the last 4. We made them look very, very ordinary. And that was us making them look it. And like I said, the stat that I'd read was they had 3 shots before 28 minutes. And after 28 minutes, they had no shots on goal. Mike Cooper, cigar. Absolutely unreal. Don't forget to like the stream, Blades. Yes, Renegade. Thank you, pal. It really does help us out. 3 clean sheets in a row. You can't change that defence, says Keith. You can't, mate. You can't. Suitor man of the match for me, says I am Blade. Hamer and O'Hare looked class. Nice touch from the club for Maddie. Absolutely right, it was. And fair play to the Derby fans as well who joined in with clapping for Maddie. On the 8th minute, everybody applauded for a minute, and it was really well observed. Standing ovation. So sad. And we've obviously it's been a rubbish week. Let's be right for Sheffield United, and you know they got 3 points today for Johnny, which I love. Yeah, it's been tough, hasn't it? They'll be talking about Suter in years to come, like Fatty Folks, says Steve-O. Can you remember that absolute unit the Blades had at the back? That Harry Suter. Yeah, they will. They will, to be fair. Somebody asked me in chat today, do I think there's a chance we'll get him on a permanent if we go up? That's a huge if, can I just say. But if, hypothetically speaking, Sheffield United are promoted, yeah, I think there's a huge chance we get Harry Suter on a permanent deal. I think that might have even been talked about at the time. There's nothing agreed in the deal, by the way, so don't take that out of context. But I absolutely do think Harry Suter is going to be a Blade longer term if we're promoted. I certainly hope so, if it fits in with everything we want to do. And I'm not saying he's Premier League level, because I'm not sure he is. I think he's a raw Harry Maguire. If I'm honest, that's just a massive version, but a very similar player in that regard. And hopefully he can adjust to life in the Premier League. But yeah, I think there's a big chance we get him permanently. I agree, Jimmy. Don't change this team till the international break. Give most a rest. That gives most a rest in the international break. Yeah, I think that's fair, mate. The only one I'd change is Rak-Sakyi at the minute, and that'll be, if he plays Rak-Sakyi against Portsmouth, I'm not kicking off. I think we're a strong team, aren't we? But I just think it's slightly unfair on Brooks. That's all. Mogo, good evening, pal. Let's hope the Ben Osborne fan club can close the club down at long last after watching him today. He didn't have the best of games, I didn't think, didn't Ozzy? Like I said, I think he sacrificed himself to do a man-for-man job on Callum O'Hare, but it didn't really go his way. Brewster is injury prone, says Louise. So if he played for the under-21s and got injured, we'd be kicking ourselves. That's fair, and that's the risk you run. But we're trying to get him up to match speed, and you can't replicate those minutes, and you can't really replicate it in 21s, I suppose. So it's a fair point. But if we're just praying he doesn't get injured all the time, then what's the point in having him? Why are we more bothered that he doesn't get injured than does start to sharpen up and find the back of the net? Where's your focus, really? Paulie Boy says, like and subscribe, people. Top man. We're about 300 away from the big 5K, which we thought were coming last Christmas. It's peaks and troughs on YouTube, people. Peaks and troughs. Evening, says Doug. Good evening, my friend. Welcome. Dale says, we look very solid at the back, but I thought we were wasteful at times, up the blades, up the ramble. I think that's fair, mate. I think that's more than fair. The Saint says, didn't everyone moan Ollie was lazy? Now they moan about a workhorse, give over people. Yeah, I think it were fair shouts about. I think Ollie McBurney was another one. And a member of my family who you all know well, who I've already mentioned on this stream, would counter this point. But like the Rak-Sakyi reasoning, I would always say that that was McBurney's demeanour. It wasn't the fact that he was lazy. It was the fact that he was a bit sloughened and he carried himself like a bit like lethargic. He was never fit for a start. But how anybody can look at Kieffer Moore and think he's not putting the work in. I don't think people are necessarily saying that, to be fair, Saint, but it's more his output that people are focusing a little bit too much on, I think. If the team weren't winning, and at 1-0, squeaking a 1-0 here and there, we're close to not winning, aren't we? We're only a dodgy back pass away from, a 1-all today, for example, even though we never looked in danger. But then it'll be more vocal about Kieffer Moore and Rak-Sakyi potentially, and other players that aren't quite reaching the levels that we want them to. Key says, couldn't understand why the referee just let that guy lay on Vinny for so long. Yeah, that was strange, weren't it? I mean, referee today with my mate Andy Madley, I didn't even notice till the game had kicked off, to be honest. So I didn't get a chance to speak to him before. So I'm loath to criticise the ref because I want only good things for Andy, but I will blaming his linesman instead today. that's the route I chose to go down. What does Wilder see in Moore Bright give someone else a start? Is that a joke, Chris? Is that a joke? Oh, hang on, you've added to it more. If he does what he does and scored 20, it would be in the Premier League teams. Moore is doing fine. Keep the faith. Absolutely right. Yeah, I've had this, and again, I won't call him out because it's not a dig by any means, but I've had this conversation in the Platinum chat as well. Kieffer Moore is playing for Sheffield United in the Championship for a reason. He's not Erling Haaland. He's not, nobody expects him to be an unstoppable machine. There are things that are going to go wrong. So Chris says, what does Moore see? Moore seeing Moore? I assume you mean Wilder seeing Moore. I'd sooner see Brewster up there or Clark. Rest in peace, Maddie and Johnny. Yeah, absolutely. Rest in peace, Maddie and Johnny. I think in terms of what does he see in Moore, I think we've covered that. And you'd sooner see Brewster up there or Clark, as in like Leon Clark. Or do you mean Campbell? Tyrese Campbell. Evening, Jimmy. Brilliant performance today, says Doug. Really happy with the back four. What a free kick by him. Absolutely right. Touch of class, that. Got to say, I love the celebration, remembering Maddie Cusack, up the blades, up the ramble. Me too, mate. Me too. Shows that we're a real family, doesn't it? And, it's right that they do that. And I enjoyed it myself. Evening, Jimmy. For me, it's like playing with 10 men with Sakyi starting, Brooks has to start for me. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Like and subscribe. Rest in peace, Johnny. Renegade says, don't know if anyone has mentioned it yet, Jimmy, but I'd bring in Brooks for Rak-Sakyi. Yeah, it has been dropped in once or twice, Renegade, pal. It has. Gilchrist sat with an ice bag on his hamstring when he came off. Stop looking for negatives. Okay. So it's a positive that he was sat with ice bag on his hamstring. That's great, that, Russ. I'd much rather that were the case than a fitness issue that we can sort out in a week or two. What a load of rubbish. What a load of rubbish. Gilchrist has had his thigh strapped up after the game. Explains the... It does explain it, John. Thank you for being eloquent in the way you raise it. That's not great, is it? Because hamstrings are very... I mean, Brewster's the greatest example of that, of how tender and tentative and vulnerable they can be, is probably the best way to put it. So, Oktoberfest should be interesting. Simon. Gary says, Derby, IGB, Derby and no mugs. Thought we worked them out, and a well hard-earned 3 points. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Forget the Owls. I'm going to say forget, because it's a family-friendly show. Cheers, Gaz. Celebration by Gus, you meant. I know you meant that, Gus. Doug, no problem, pal. Neil says, Jimmy, don't think we were at our best today, but games like this get you promotion, and Derby and no mugs. Up the Ramble, up the Blades. I love that. I agree. I think we have to respect every team in this division, and it's so cliche to say that, but they're not mugs. And the last time, it worried me a little bit when somebody put in the chat today or yesterday. Last time Paul Warren brought a team to Bramall Lane that weren't fancied, they left with all 3 points. That were Rotherham. Rotherham beat us 1-0 at Bramall Lane and housed their way to a 1-0, made it really difficult for us, and ran off with 3 points. And that could have happened today in different circumstances. But I think the team that Wilder's put together and the feeling and the atmosphere he's creating at the club is we're onto something special here. And I'm trying not to get too ahead of myself with it. I said something to my dad today that I'm loath to repeat on stream because it's a little bit too early to go that way, but I'm very confident for the season ahead. That's probably closest I'll go at this stage, so I don't get clipped up. We need to trust in Wilder. He'll have his arms around Brooks and Rak-Sakyi, keeping them both happy. Both are class, and I don't mind who starts. Fair that, mate. Kieffer, if he scores 1 goal this season, that'll be more than Brewster. Old sick note, Brewster. We gave TC some grief after for being lazy. Ask your dad. I'm sure. TC, Tony. I assume you mean Tony Curry and not Tyrese Campbell. But Tony Curry, my dad's favourite player of all time. And yeah, he for those of you that aren't aware, we were lucky enough to go to an awards dinner end of last season. No, season before it might have been. And my dad went up to Tony Curry and said, this lad reckons Illiman and Die is the best player he's ever seen in a Blades shirt. And I told him he's never seen Tony Curry play. Tony Curry will have been like, he just wanted to schmooze Tony Curry. That's all it was. And used me as the whip to do that. With Moore's work rate, when he starts bagging goals, he'll be even more dangerous. I think that's fair, Jack. I think we need everyone with the shooting boots on against the top teams. Yes, we do. The fact everyone is nitpicking more on the right side shows just how well the Blades are doing. Come on, you Blades. Yeah, that's right, Saint. And it's me too. I'm nitpicking on right-hand side as well. It's not just other people. It's not just the people that I'm disagreeing with about more, because I think he's better than some people are giving him credit for. I'm also picking a few holes in Rak-Sakyi. But that's absolutely sort of clutching at straws, really, for reasons. Because I think Andre Brooks deserves a start, but it's great that we've got that sort of competition to keep each other going. Thought we were solid today, but Brooks, for my money, up the Blades, up the Ramble. David says, latest update from Luton Attendance FC. We're unlucky as Luton scored 2. Oh, no. Luton scored 2. But somebody were winning 1-0. Oh, never mind. I have to say, Pet was absolutely fantastic. What a midfield we will have for the next few years. Absolutely. Well, if it all goes to plan. Yeah, that's right, Josh. Hi, Jimmy. It's hard not to ask, But the takeover, question mark, up the blades, up the ramble. I'm expecting some news early next week. So I'll share what I'm able to after that, after I've had certain discussions. Brewster hasn't scored for 2 years come October 8th. Wow. And people are wanting him over Kieffer. 2 years. That's a shocker, isn't it? What was Tony like as a player? I'm not old enough to know. He obviously was class. And David says TC was such class. Yeah. Lol at the Owls once again. Klopp 2.0. Carry on. We don't talk about them on these streams, to be fair. We don't. Don't know yet, mate. Don't know what it's about, but I'm hoping to find out early next week. And you'll all know here. Do you know what? I'm going to call it there. We've got to the end of the comments, and I'm not going to drag it out for any longer than is necessary. It's been a great result for us again today. Really strong momentum that we're starting to build. Like a few have said, when you're not playing at your best, but you're still getting 3 points, it's absolutely brilliant. So give me that all the way through. If we next 3 games up to international break, it's 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. I'm taking it all day long, as I'm sure you guys are as well. But thank you to everybody for joining me today. Thank you for all your comments and all the well wishes. But for now, come on, you red and white wizards. Up the blade! Ramble on!